we decided to sell this place because an opportunity came up with my job, and it happened very quickly. We thought we were going to be in this place for another few years, if not longer, but we actually got an offer where I grew up in Yakima, and that's where my family still is, and we had to think about it a lot because it's special to be close to family, and we thought a lot about where we want Blake to be raised and where we want her to go to school. And so after thinking about it a lot, we said, that'll be an exciting next step, and it's definitely jumping into the unknown by moving for my job over to Eastern Washington, but we think it'll be a great thing, and great thing for Blake for sure.
We decided to work with Zach because Max knew him from college. So initially when we were talking about, hey, it's time to sell our house, Max is like, oh, I know a guy. And I was like, well, what does that mean, you know a guy? And he told me about Zach a little bit, which I'd heard about Zach because they would play basketball together sometimes. And I was like, okay, well, I was like super serious about who we were going to be using, because selling a house, you need somebody that has the knowledge, that will spend the time to get to know you and your house, your neighborhood, the area, spend the time to market your house. And I knew all of these things because I used to work in the mortgage industry, and it was really important to me and to us really to sell our house quickly and honestly to get as much money as we could for it. So as Max was telling me about Zach, I was like, okay, sounds all fine and dandy, but he's gonna have to come over and meet us. Make sure he knows he doesn't just have the job just because we know him, because that's not my style when I'm selling my house. Like, it's our most expensive asset we have. So it's like, we need someone that's gonna really work for us, and not just because they know us, but because this is their job, their career. And so Zach came over one morning, and he told us what he would do for us, what it was going to cost us, all of those things, and he really he impressed us. He impressed me, so that, I think ultimately I was the deciding factor there. And we decided to work for Zach because, of course, we'd always love to work with somebody we know, but you can't just choose to work with somebody you know. You need to choose to work with somebody that you know that's going to do a good job and do your house justice, really. And I think that's ultimately why we decided to work with him.
And when I first talked to Zach about coming over, I told him, Alli's going to grill you with some questions, and sure enough, she did. And Zach had this list of things that he gave us that he would do for us, that he would provide us during this process, and it blew me away, but blew Alli away for sure. And so Zach definitely impressed Alli, and yep, I already knew I wanted to work with Zach, but I knew Alli would be the one to make that final decision. I'm very glad we decided to work with Zach. As I mentioned earlier, he just really impressed us with the distance, or the amount of things that he did for us.
And he sold our house in 4 days, although that might not always be typical, but he not only sold our house in 4 days, he sold our house in 4 days with multiple offers over ask. And again, I know that's not always typical, but there's no way we could have done that if we tried selling our house ourselves. Or used someone that does it part-time. He took the time to do the marketing, and he was really he put it out there like, this house is for sale. He called other agents around that, had current listings or, maybe soon to be sales pending on houses in our neighborhood and around us, to get an idea of, what the offers looked like for them. He called the mortgage brokers, before we reviewed offers, to make sure it really was a good offer, that we weren't just going to accept some offer just because it was the highest price. Yeah, and I'm really glad we chose to work with Zach, because although I felt bad for my couple of text messages at 9 p.m., and I would always end it with don't reply right now, reply in the morning, because spend time with your family. But I felt comfortable at least sending that text, or I probably wouldn't have felt comfortable if it was someone that we didn't know beforehand. So that was really nice that he was always very friendly. He'd always get back to us. Like I said, even if it was like the next morning, because of course I would never expect him to text back at 9 or 10 p.m. But I knew I was going to hear back from him. It's not like I was just sending a text or a call out into the world hoping I'd hear back. Like, we always heard back in a very timely manner. So Zach's communication during the process was very good. He gave us updates weekly, or more than weekly. Whenever something happened that he heard about, he would let us know right away, whether it was a text or a call or an email. He always let us know what was going on, so we were never curious. I know one time when we were getting ready to review offers, we're like, okay, finally, we had to ask him, like, do we have any offers? And he was so funny. He was like trying to keep it a secret because we had multiple offers, so he was so excited to tell us. He wanted to surprise us in person, but he couldn't keep it from us. Oh my gosh, I just spit everywhere.
One of the things I appreciated when just discussing things with Zach or about his communication with us was when we had a question about how much we wanted to list the place for. You know, we had some second thoughts, or we're thinking maybe we should change that. And instead of Zach just saying, no, let's stick to this price, or no, we're going to do this, he said, well, I'll put together a few things and let's have a discussion on what we want to do. And he took a lot of time, and we had about a 15-20 minute discussion on what we wanted to do, why, and we felt very, very good with the price that we decided on after that. So I really appreciated that.